What's up, fuckers? Yo, we got a new one. It's a little different this time around. So this next episode, episode 11, we've got us a guest.
Yep, we do. And we've had a guest before. We had Heather Loves Horror, which is awesome. And thank you to her. We were able to have her on early in our podcasting.
She's the best. I miss her, man.
Yeah, we talked to her on Instagram. We need to catch up a little more.
We'll be on her episode actually
hopefully
Wednesday.
Well, Wednesday, whenever. Don't listen to what the actual day is.
Yeah.
Be tied up.
But that's when we'll be shooting, essentially. So, we got Steve Merlo today. Yep. So he's a director, a writer, a producer.
Yep.
Awesome. He's working on a Texas Chainsaw Fan-Film currently.
Yep.
So
it is called the Sawyer Massacre, and he'll talk about it a little more, but it's a prequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, which I'm really pumped to ask him about. Where if the timeline, there's a lot of different branches that the timeline takes, so I'm really excited to see what his thoughts are. And we've talked to them and talked to them a little bit, and really we're getting to know him just like y'all are going to get to know him on this episode. So we're really pumped about that, and then we'll get into some more stuff, getting to know him. And then not only getting to know him, but just hearing about his film. So y'all will see for the next 30 to 40 minutes, we'll be locked in with Steve Merlo. Really nice guy already. So we're really pumped to have him on there. But Justin, what else you got here for us?
We'll just go ahead and shout out our sponsors real quick, which aren't actually really our sponsors.
Sponsors that don't pay us, but
Dos
still sponsors.
Equis, man. So that'll be my seventh one. Cozy with our banner.
Our banner it can be seen a little bit in this episode, but you can still see it.
So Hunt Junkies, as you know, Brandon and Jess be kicking it. Our boys.
Brandon just be kicking it. Go buy a hoodie. Go buy a hat. Go buy a long sleeve. Go buy another hoodie. Brand new hoodies just came out. White ones with the Jordan 3 concrete design on them.
Yeah, let's go ahead and shout out Eric from He's Crafty. Obviously, just shout out Heather. We just did that.
Everybody that's supported us and shared stuff. I mean, Mary Graves, she's pretty spooky. Old Man Ghostface, like all y'all. CNT Films also always hits me up, so we appreciate that. All y'all's support helps us keep going. So we absolutely love it. Haunt Junkies.
Haunt Junkies. That's my boys. You already know.
Boys and girls.
And girl. Yeah, that's true. And girls, actually, because Trinity. So 2 girls, 1 dude, and technically 2. I'm part of it, so it's 2. But they, it is what it is. Let me get this real quick because I got
to pop your beer while I sip on this one and get it low.
Yeah. So,
but we're really pumped because, with Heather's, we were talking with her about Hereditary, and so we got to talk about that film a little bit. But this one, we're focused on Steve's film. So I'm really pumped about that, and we'll probably talk a little bit about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know there's a new movie that's in the works, and there's already 7, maybe 8 films. I may be getting that wrong. But, man, it's franchise that's been around for a long time, right? First movie came out in 1974, and there's been several sequels, several prequels, different timelines. That was they've had a reboot. Also a prequel to the reboot. They've done everything you could probably do in that genre, and now I think the new one is actually taking the Halloween 2018 approach, where it's 40 years after the original events. So I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but I think it's gonna be good. So I'm really excited about it, honestly. We just recorded the last episode to our season also, so we're really excited about that. Jesus Christ, I can't focus with this man doing all this weird shit. No, go check out the newest episodes. Also, go watch our past episodes, having Brandon on, having Heather on. So we've had all the good stuff going. Real pumped. End of season 1. We're sad, but we're not going to take any time off. We're just going to keep it rolling.
Season 2 coming up.
We also look a lot better than we usually do. I don't know if it's because we have a guest. Probably because we have a guest.
Yeah.
But usually I'm bummed out. I don't know. The puffer jacket last episode was pretty amazing. I look like that Kenny from South Park look. That's what I think.
You won't see that until after this episode, but you'll see it. It's dope.
Things to come then. And the Terrifier episode that we just recorded.
Yes.
That'll be the season finale.
Let us chug. Oh, you know what? We're not going to chug this beer because we've got to bring Steve in. Let's bring him in. Let's see if we can see him. There he is. Steve,
There we go.
how we doing, brother?
How are we doing? I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're great. We just obviously just introduced you. Welcome. I'm glad to have you on. Thank you for being on. Thank you for taking time out of your night. So I know you're a busy guy, so we appreciate you being on.
Thank you so much. No, it's a pleasure. Pleasure's all mine.
Yeah.
So
And as we mentioned, you're the second person we've been able to do an interview with. And our first one was more of like a conversation we had with one of our friends on the horror community of Instagram that we've come to get to know. And so this one, like, we're really pumped because we're going to try to do it a little more, I say interview style. Don't feel any pressure on interview style.
No, it's all good.
It'll
I've done a
be
few
just
of these now.
awesome.
That's good news, though. That means that, like, people are really interested in what you're getting done and what you're doing and everything like that and your ideas.
Yeah.
For sure, I guess so. I guess there's some sort of appreciation from the horror community for what I'm doing right now.
Oh, yeah.
I see your posters back there, man. Actually seen those.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I like that. I like it. Have you finished Mandalorian?
I have.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I have to say, I have my issues with the Star Wars movies that have come out in recent years.
Yeah.
But Mandalorian is a lot better than I expected, and I'm not a Boba Fett fan. This is coming from somebody who's like, wasn't a huge fan of the character in the original trilogy, and he's all right, but he looked cool, I guess. That was the appeal, but there was really not a lot to the character himself. So,
Yeah.
but they've definitely done well with this one.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started, Steve. And we start our episodes by chugging beers. And I know you told us you're not really much of a beer drinker.
On occasion.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find bottles of water we used to have, so I just grabbed my largest glass.
Nothing wrong with that. And we'll go ahead and get it started.
Hopefully, it won't be hiccuping the whole time.
Yeah, you'll probably hear us hiccup and cough. So
It's all good. It's all good.
well, cheers to a good night, man.
Cheers to a good episode.
Salute.
Thank you.
Ooh, sorry, we have to get our bearings for a sec.
What are you guys drinking?
Dos
Is it something
Equis.
we'd actually haven't? Oh, we have that in Canada, I think. At least I'm familiar with. I've never had Dos Equis, but I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's good.
That was the guy, the older guy in the commercial, right? I don't drink much or whatever, but when I do, it's Dos Equis, right? That's what I remember. Those are older now. Now I'm dating myself. I haven't seen one of those commercials in a while.
You're
You feel
spot
like
on.
yesterday, though.
Oh yeah, is that the most interesting man in the world? I think is that Dos Equis?
That's right. That's right. I totally forgot like exactly what it was, but yeah.
Yeah. So,
Awesome.
Steve. So yeah, we want to start out get like our viewers and listeners just get to know you a little bit. So it can be related to your film, non-related to your film. We were wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, and you can take it as far as you want, and we may have a follow-up with you here and there, but the floor is yours, my man.
Oh, really? Okay, so just a little bit about myself. I've been an artistic dude for a very, very long time. I'm actually a professional musician. I've done that for many, many years now. Soundgarden's my favorite band. Rest in peace, Chris Cornell, though. Gotta say that. But I played professionally for many, many, many years. Ran a music school. Got into filmmaking about 7 or 8 years ago. So it's a more recent thing for me. But I've just really I started out just as a writer, writing screenplays, and thought, geez, I wonder if I could get somebody to make this someday. And enough people just said, why don't you make it? So, I went through the ropes a little bit, made a lot of mistakes, and you know what? I'm still making mistakes. We always do. You're never going to stop learning. But I'm doing it. And now here I am making a a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film, feature length.
So you must, and I think I saw this on one of your stream videos that you love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise.
The original.
That's your favorite. The original is your favorite of all time.
The original is my favorite horror film of all time.
Man.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of the other films in the series. The remake is, it's okay. But still, I got issues with it. But yeah, for me, it's just the original. It's the ultimate horror. It really, to me, it's the scariest thing ever put to film.
So I want to get to know you as a person, not just the film. We'll get to talking about the film. Cool. Obviously, we have got a bunch of questions for you about the film.
Cool.
But going off of you being a musician, what do you play? Do you sing? What's?
Yeah, I sing. I play guitar. If you do ever watch my streams, there's an intro and outro music. That's me. It's a little heavier. I have a lot of influences, but a lot of my original stuff comes out kind of heavy. Not the most marketable, I know, but it's not the kind of stuff I used to play in the bars when I was playing all the time professionally. Back when I was doing that as a full-time thing. We played a lot of classic rock and country music. A lot of stuff I didn't really want to play. I'm not going to lie about it, but I did it, and it was fun for a time period, that's for sure. But it's not something I enjoy doing for much longer than that. I kind of do it. I still play the odd gig. Right now with COVID, obviously I'm not, but I was playing the odd gig maybe once a month kind of thing before COVID hit. And it's fun to just get out and do the odd gig, but I still do enjoy it. I'm glad I'm not doing it full time anymore.
Right. So were you doing covers? Like, it sounds like you were doing covers.
Professionally, to make money, yes. To make ends meet, yes. Covers. It was always covers. But, my passion is obviously in my original stuff, and it's cool now that I get to record all that stuff, and I've learned now that technology has come so far. 10, 15 years ago, you couldn't do what you can do today for free, so I'm spending more time with that now than obviously I did back then, because now I can, whereas back then I just couldn't. I didn't have the means. I think I got my first computer probably about just over 10 years ago, so I didn't even have a computer till then, so I was always a little bit behind on technology.
Right. So do you have stuff on Spotify and Apple Music or anything?
I did. They made me pay so many fees, and I wasn't getting no money from it. So it was like, I'll just take it. I think I still have what's it called? Bandcamp. It's free to put your stuff up on there at least. So I just, I do have that. I haven't posted anything recently, so I should probably do that again sometime soon. But I think that's the only place you can find me now is on there. Yeah.
You want to give us a little sample?
A little. I don't know how I could do it right now. I don't know if I could play it from my computer or something. Maybe. I could try and see if it'll let me share it. You guys can still see me and everything?
Yeah, 100%. I can see you right now.
Let me just see if I can figure out where I might have all my stuff.
Justin's putting you on the spot right now. He always does that to me too.
That's okay. If I can actually load a song, if I can actually figure out where I've stored them on my desktop here.
Well, we're really into music as well. So we we were just talking about it today. I'm not really big on country, but I love music just in general. You know what I mean? So I sing myself. Went to school for acting. Did a lot of musical theater. I've got some traditional training. So it's
not big into country though. What if it was country infused with metal?
Oh God, it's even worse. That's worse. I hate metal music.
And I love country.
You hate metal and you hate country. Geez, my most popular song is a country metal song.
But you know,
Oh.
it's crazy because I
It's gonna
I fuck with a lot of different musics, like some countries. But all right, we'll let you play yours. Go ahead. I want to hear it. I'm excited.
Okay, you want to hear that one, the country metal one? It's definitely different. Okay.
I love country and metal, so I'm all for it.
Can you hear it?
Cannot. It might just be playing in your headphones.
Can you hear it?
We can't.
It's
You
okay.
can. It's not okay. It's coming
That's
loud
okay.
on my end, but it's not coming on yours.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay, just a sec
Shouting out your
here.
music, so at least if people want to go listen to it, go check it
Now
out.
I got to figure out how to stop it.
We can get into your let's get into your film. Okay?
Okay.
So before this, what was your would you work on prior to making this fan film?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
What did you work on prior to making this fan film?
Oh, my most recent project hasn't been released yet. Just a short film. It's called Disorder. We're still editing it. So it's just a short film. We made it for pretty cheap, but we actually got some good stuff out of it though. It'll probably be about a 10-minute film, nothing too long. But it basically tackles mental illness. And there's a bit of a surprise ending kind of thing. I don't want to give too much away without it being released and having seen it. But basically, yeah, it tackles mental illness. I like to get into that a little bit because I actually used to date somebody who had a bad mental illness, and I witnessed a lot of interesting struggles through that. So I kind of got interested in that after that, which was many years ago now, but it's something that has drawn my influence for sure.
Yeah. So what other influences would you say you have, like whether it be certain directors or certain movie styles or anything like that?
Ooh. Well, in the horror realm, I guess in the horror realm, I would say John Carpenter is probably my favorite. Big Halloween fan, big fan of The Thing, The Fog, all that stuff. Great films. But overall, I don't know. I probably not horror, but even he's dived into horror a little bit, and that's Steven Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the greatest director of all time. It's not a lot I can really say. Just his catalog. There's just so many great films. Whether you like them or not, he's made something for everybody, I think, and you got to respect that. I don't love every single film of his. In fact, some of the films that he's made that probably most people do like, some of the ones I don't like as much. But overall, I can't deny the impact that Spielberg has had on my influences for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is Romo. I'm a huge Jaws fan.
That's my number one Spielberg movie. That's for sure. There you go.
I've had 2 golden retrievers in my lifetime, and one was named Dr. Hooper, and the other was Chief Brody.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So they were fantastic. So I saw you had one. You had covered Jaws on your stream, so I was pumped about that.
There you go.
Yeah. So how'd you like? Those are your influences, or is that what made you fall in love with horror?
Probably. Now that I think about it, like I'm one of those people that I'm not sure if Jaws is really a horror film. I know it's got its horror. A lot of horror elements, but as a horror film, I don't know. It is debatable, that's for sure. It has my favorite jump scare of all time, though, so I got to give it that. And that's the guy's head coming out of the boat. That is, it gets me every time. It's used to scare the bejesus out of me when I was 8 years old, and I would have to run out of the room every time that scene came on. And yeah, but obviously I got older and it didn't scare me as much, but still it does get you. But is it a horror film? I don't know. There's so many other elements in that movie that it's like it's so much more than just horror. You can see a lot of action, a lot of adventure. It's just a great film. It's just an awesome film. Very different from the book too. It didn't stay too close to the book. I was actually shocked when I read the book how different it was.
Bit of a thriller, I'd say, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So because we actually had that, I don't know if you've taken part of it, but we're doing a horror movie bracket challenge. So we've had 4 quadrants, and one of our quadrants was a creature feature. We did add that into our quadrant. Jaws, Jurassic Park, King Kong. Those aren't really essentially considered horror films, but we consider like a thriller / horror. So we did add that into our quadrant. So so I get it. I understand where you're coming from with that. I will say also, E.T., one of my favorite. It sounds so weird, but E.T. is one of my favorite movies. Since we're talking about Spielberg, but as far as like your films go, is this your first full directorial? Is this your directorial debut?
No, I mean it's I've made other films. I'm mostly shorts. I did make one feature length film. However, we made it for under $10,000, and there's a lot of issues with it. I've screened it to a few people, but I'm not happy enough to release it. A lot of sound issues, so it's not something I want to release at this point, unless I can fix it. So that's the only other feature I have under my belt. Everything else is short.
Do you do the editing yourself? Are you in post-production right now, or is this
for the feature length? Or
yeah,
it's been in post-production hell for about 6 years now, 5-6 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I did all the edit. I did pretty much all the editing for it. I've had a help for it a little bit, but it was ultimately how can we fix the audio, and how can we fix these little issues that we had throughout the film. And it just it hasn't come together, unfortunately. I hate to say it's not a horror film though, so I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys probably this was me trying to show that I could do something outside of horror. And you live and learn, and you don't try to make a film for $10,000 unless it's super simple.
Yeah,
super simple.
Well, money's hard to come by sometimes, but it doesn't really. I can't say that it sometimes it can break you, but not having money can also make you. Paranormal Activity had a really, really super low budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. Even Terrifier, I think, had like $100,000 budget. And,
Blair Witch Projects.
Yeah. So, and I act myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I said, I went to school for acting. I started in high school. Went to Marymount Manhattan College. My agents are down here. I've been in a couple films, couple TV shows myself. I'm part of a company called Haunt Junkies, and we just finished writing our short last year. We were about to start filming until one of our actors got sick, and we actually could have been COVID. We're not actually sure. She was our lead, and ended up falling out. So we have to actually recast our lead in that. It is a thriller that I wrote, and then took it to one of my friends, and because he does sound, and like you said, sounds are very, very important. If you can't have good sound, you can't put anything out. It's unfortunate.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like it's crucial. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So and we've seen the trailer for the fan film for your for Texas, and sounding that's pretty good. So, like I said, it's like I
Yeah,
know
don't skip on sound, that's for sure.
I know what you're going through with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I've just kind of left it for the last little while because it's a big headache, and I just it's a lesson learned, and it happens. It's you're not going to learn these things if you don't make the mistakes first, right? So yeah, I did it. I'm not ashamed of it or anything. I think ultimately there is a good story there, but and not even just the sound. There's a couple little other things. We had a makeup issue that it's a bit of a cringe moment on screen too. That the makeup artist we hired was not really that good at her job, and so it is what it is. But you just gotta go out and learn from those mistakes and do better next time. And that's the last film that I did release. The sound isn't perfect on that one too, but we had much better sound. It still won a few awards, and that's kind of where I've been building off that film. That film has kind of propelled me a lot further, and I've learned a lot since that film on how to craft my style, and I'm really starting to get a feel for what kind of filmmaker I am. And so, yeah, that's why I feel ready to make a feature-length Texas Chainsaw Massacre film.
Nice. Well, we've seen the trailer, and I want to mention we're talking sound. I love that you use the iconic like Texas Chainsaw. I call it a snapshot sound that you use in the trailer.
The camera.
It also looks real grainy, grindhouse, like as you would want in a Texas Chainsaw film. So we wanted to know, did you shoot that during all the COVID mess, or was this prior to any of that?
No, it was prior to that. We shot all that footage in September of 2019, late September 2019. So it was a few months before COVID anyways. So that's why we're lucky there. But we shot it in Canada, so we had our obstacles in that department. Late September in Canada is not very hot. There was a good. The forecast was saying it could rain that day and everything. I remember being all panicky, saying, "Oh my God, we're gonna get rain!" And thankfully it didn't rain that day. But it was chilly out. It was actually quite chilly out. I don't know. You can tell in the trailer, but some of those actors were pretty cold on set. But the colorist did a good job making it look hot. I'll tell you that much.
where are you at with as far as like the production is? Like, where are you currently?
Well, we're still pre-production, and we are doing some pre-production now because we want to get ahead of the game, but we still haven't raised enough funds, so we're going to be doing another Indiegogo campaign in March, and hopefully that one will get us enough to actually film this thing in Texas. I could film it here and feasibly film it here in Canada with what we got because I have all the connections that I need here. Our COVID restrictions aren't quite as bad as yours there. So there's a lot of expenses down there with COVID. You have to get a COVID compliance officer, and all the sanitation stuff has to, it's a big deal down there. Whereas it is still a big deal here, but not quite as strict, So there's a lot of reasons why I could feasibly make it here for what we have, but I want to go to Texas. Who doesn't want to see a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film that's shot in Texas? I mean, they haven't even been shooting them in Texas for a while now. It's kind of, that bothers me. Why are they shooting it in Bulgaria? I guess it's cheaper there. I don't know.
Right, and I actually I just got back from Texas for work related stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and my family, a bunch of my family is from Texas, so I'm like, for some reason, anytime I hear Texas, it's just like a buzzword to me. I'm super pumped about it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm like, oh, Texas, it's home to Texas. It needs to be filmed in Texas. But one thing I wanted to ask you is, like, do you know most of the actors, or are these people you reached out to and said, hey, I have this idea, this is what I want to do, and got them on board with that?
No, I sent out casting calls actually to get the not the actors for my for the trailer. But those are all Canadian actors. But when we casted the Texas actors, we sent out a big casting call and got probably between 100 and 200 auditions. So me and a casting director went through a lot of auditions to make sure we had the right people attached to each role. There's quite a few roles in this, so that means there's a lot of kills.
Right.
I get it, man. When we were casting my project called Tender Love, we watched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of auditions.
Yeah.
We did through Actors Access. I don't know if that's what you did or not, but that's what we did. So I totally get it. Eric told us that you got the original grandpa. Is that correct?
In the trailer, yes. The original grandpa made a little cameo appearance in that trailer.
Yeah, that's amazing. Really, real. You know what I mean? So,
I was amazed to learn that he was 18 when he played the grandpa in the original.
He was really young. Was he 18 or was he about 20? I thought he was about 20, but
he probably was above 20. I just knew he was young, and it blew my mind.
Yeah, he was quite young. Yeah, a lot of makeup, but it really worked well for what they're doing. I guess the biggest reason was his size. I guess he was quite thin back then, and that's what you want, that thin figure for an old frail grandpa. It just made sense, right? So,
yeah.
And it helped that he was a good friend of the writer Kim Henkel, right? So that helped.
That does help, because I mean, now everyone in the horror community knows him because of that role. Like that's an iconic role. It plays such an important part, and there's some dark comedy in the original film related to him trying to hold the hammer, like towards the end of that. But I know, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre timeline has a lot of sequels, has a remake, a reboot, has the 3D thrown in there. It has a prequel. So I was curious where you were planning on I know yours is a prequel, I believe. So I wanted to just get a few more thoughts from you on that and where it fits.
Sure. Yeah, it takes place in the mid '60s, about 1965. That's why Grandpa's role is a little different in our trailer. If you were able to identify what Grandpa's role was. So it's 1965 ish, and it's not a prequel in the sense as you're gonna discover all the origins of the Sawyer family or anything like that, because those kinds of things have been done to death. And I don't want to. My goal isn't to demystify Leatherface and tell you why he is the way he is. I don't think that's important, and I think it's going to make him less scary if you do that. So what I wanted to do was add some layers to the family, but not really actually explore their history and everything like that. Just add a new element that hasn't that works within their dynamic, but hasn't been explored before, and then introduce new characters that can be victims.
Yep.
Yeah. So, are you in this yourself, or are you just behind the camera the whole time? Are you going to be
behind the camera? I have done some acting before, but I did direct and act in one film that I did, and I actually won a Best Actor award for it. But it was such a headache. It was the biggest headache for me to try to do both. Maybe I'm not the best multitasker. I don't know, but it was a filming nightmare. When I was doing it, I just said, "Geez, I wish I could cast somebody else in this role, so I could just focus on directing." But we made it work. It took a little longer to film than I would have liked, but at the end of the day, that film won some awards. That's on my YouTube channel if you haven't seen it. It's called Unseen.
Okay.
But I don't plan on acting in my own films again. I'll act in other people's films. Yeah, I don't mind to act, but it's directing and acting is such a headache for me.
How much of this film did you write? Did you write?
I wrote the whole film. I wrote the whole script.
The whole thing. Yeah.
I did get people consulting on it though. I had a number of fellow writers read the script and give me some points here and there. But other than that, it was 100% my ideas and my writing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Seriously, because writing's fucking hard, man. I mean,
Yeah.
Like Tender Love is what I think is 21 pages. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a short film that I wrote, and so I wrote the rough draft before I brought it over to my friend, and I wanted to get him in on it, and um, then we started writing together as a whole. So it was me, Vellante, and Megan, and we started writing that together as a whole. 21 pages, and that took us almost a year to finish the script for 21
Wow.
pages. Yeah, so because we don't want to put out anything that like it's we're quality over quantity. You know what I mean? We don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which it
We're
needs
not
to
gonna-
be. Yeah.
Yeah, so so I know where you're coming from. Writing's fucking difficult, especially like when you don't have like a perspective from your own, especially
Oh, I know. Yeah.
so it's I totally get it. So now with that said, when do you plan on shooting? Like when?
Shooting a schedule tentatively for September, mid-September of this year, in Texas, if we can shoot in Texas. But it will depend on the funding. The funding is the biggest thing. We still need to raise about $15,000, which it's not a lot, but it's not a little either. We have to raise that, otherwise I have to shoot in Canada. So it's tentatively for that. If we shoot in Canada, I would try to shoot it in July, depending on the COVID restrictions and everything. And that's another factor for Texas as well, because, these COVID compliance officers, charge something like $400 a day.
Yeah,
and that we would need a lot of cheese to pay a COVID compliance officer.
Yeah.
We'd need to raise more than 15 grand, basically. If we were to shoot it now, we'd probably need to shoot closer to 20. We'd probably need to raise another 20 to 25 grand. So, we're hoping that the COVID restrictions will be better with the vaccine. You can't tell. Who knows, right?
No,
Who knows?
Yeah, man. This shit is crazy.
It is crazy.
So, man, if you ever need actors, hit me up. I'll be there. So you talked about John Carpenter being one of your favorites. Who else are your other idols?
As far as directors go,
Yeah.
Cronenberg is another one. So I'm just trying to think more in the horror realm. I'd like to say Tobe Hooper, but honestly, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is really the only film I ever really loved by him. It just happened to be really, really great. But a lot of the other, I'm not a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 at all. I know it has its fan base. A lot of people love it. I don't know. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, I mean, sequels aren't always the best. I get it.
But again, it has a fan base. It's one of those films that I actually get a lot of flack on for not liking, but it is what it is. I just don't like that film, but it's okay.
It takes such a different approach, like a lot more dark comedy that was mentioned earlier. Like you have Chop Top, that's played by Bill Moseley, that's in all the Rob Zombie films. People love him in that. They also like how Leatherface is like kind of more like quirky and sentimental towards.
I don't like that.
So
I really don't like that. To me, Leatherface needs to be scary as hell. He needs to be the most. I mean, just the premise of Leatherface, this guy that kills and eats you with a chainsaw, eats you, cuts your face off, and he's gonna wear you. Now I don't know. It's to me, it's really creepy, and I just don't think they've gotten it right since the original. Not that I'm trying to copy the original with what I'm doing, but I'm definitely more heavily influenced by that film than any of the other films. But our actor playing Leatherface, he's got I've given him how I think he should play Leatherface, and which is a little bit different than the original version. But he's going to put his own spin on it, and I think he's going to give you something good. I mean, a lot of people liked him in the trailer. So I'm excited to what we're going to bring to it.
Right. I did see that there was like some blood and guts in the trailer too. I know that's probably where some of the funding needs to go that you're looking for and seeking out. So I was curious on, and we talk gore in a bunch of our films. So I was curious, like, how much blood and gore people can expect from the film.
Probably a fair amount of blood, not a lot of guts and stuff, though. I think it's going to be more the special effects will be more of the blood and the face masks that Leatherface will wear. So stuff like that. There'll be like, chainsaw wounds, stuff like that, which will be. And there's another special effect I had to consult with my my makeup artist to know whether she can do it on a budget or not, because I'm always thinking, how cheap can we do this stuff for? And
Right.
she came back to me and said it's really easy to do. I don't want to spoil what that is because I don't want to essentially tell you how the character is going to die.
Absolutely. So do you plan
it'll be
do you plan on presenting this to any film festivals or anything like that, or how do you plan on distributing it outside of what you can do arm's reach?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, obviously, the Indiegogo campaign is a huge source. If people want to actually buy it on Blu-ray, DVD, or even VHS, which I didn't realize was cheap enough to do these days.
Right.
But I did find somebody on Instagram actually that can do VHS. But yeah, they'll buy it through the Indiegogo campaign. Sorry, I got a weird notification there. Not sure if you guys could hear that or not, but on your end.
No, we're good.
It's all good.
So, what do you want to keep? What do you want to do after this? What are your future projects?
Actually, I want to make a feature-length version of my short film Unseen. I've had the script ready for that for a while. Again, it's just about funding. I don't think I'll need as much to make that film, mind you, but we want to make it look as good as possible.
Right.
That film is very much in the style of Black Christmas, of the original Black Christmas, not the 2019 one that came out that everybody hated. Of the original, though, it's a very mood and atmosphere, kind of Halloween-ish, very Halloween and Black Christmas kind of vibe to it.
Awesome.
I just feel like I couldn't quite get the messages across through the short film, and a feature length just makes it that much better. So, that's what I plan to do. I got a couple other screenplays I'm, finalizing too, but I think Unseen is what I really would like to do after the Sawyer Massacre.
So, is there anything else you want us to know or anybody else to know about this film?
Well, know that our Indiegogo campaign is going to come out in March. It'll go from March till the end of April. Bacchus, there's going to be all kinds of different perks on there, and we'll have some pretty cheap ones. So, people that just want to throw in a couple of bucks, you'll be able to do that. And, but then there'll be the high price ones too. We might even I'm looking into it. I might even sell the screen use chainsaw that we're going to use. So I have to look into that a little bit more if there's any legalities to
That's awesome.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool to have, but again, it might be considered a deadly weapon. I'm not sure, so I just don't know if we can actually legally put that on the campaign. But I would like to. I think somebody would get it for sure, but it's a pretty cool chainsaw, the one that we plan on using. I've talked to somebody who has it in Oregon, I believe. So I was planning on driving to Oregon before we drive to Texas and get that chainsaw. It's an oldie. It's an old chainsaw. It's not the same one from the original, because the one in the original came out, I believe, in 1970, and our film takes place in the mid 60s. For continuity reasons, we got to go older.
I was about to joke with you and ask if you were going to use the long Excalibur one that was used in one of the trailers.
That was for the third film, right? The Excalibur one. Yeah. No, we're not. I mean, I get it. It's kind of cheesy though at the same time, But hey, it looked cool in that trailer for sure.
It was
But,
funny. I'm glad they did it just because it was fun. Like they weren't going to plan on doing anything with it in the movie, but it was like, hey, how do we get some hype around this movie?
Yeah, I think it did. I think that worked, but ultimately the movie didn't fare too well. And it's one of those movies I can't even remember what happens, and it's so forgettable to me. But a lot of the films in this series are like that for me, though. So
So forgettable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
do you guys like any of the other sequels in the franchise? Sequels, prequels, remakes, all that stuff?
So, I love the first one. First one's fantastic.
I do too.
I'm a big Matthew McConaughey fan, but I don't like his. His is terrible.
Well, he was good in that movie, though.
Yeah, his agent didn't want it to get released, but I was like, at least you gave it your all.
Yeah.
I did really like the remake.
A lot of people do. I'm a little hard on the remake, I guess, because I was super excited about the remake when it was released. So I really was expecting it to be better than it ended up being for me. Yeah, I'm probably a little bit harder on that film than I probably should be, but I feel like there's so many missed opportunities in it.
Yeah,
That's I've gone through it on my channel before.
Cohesiveness is very important, at least for me.
Yeah.
So I get it. So
what we like to do with everyone we have on guest wise is we want to get their top 5 films. So we
horrors.
Top 5 horror.
Horror?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything good, right? Because like he's got Friday the 13th Part 7 on his.
I just love it.
And I have Terrifier in my top 5, so it doesn't have to be intelligent. So, but just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not in your favorites. You know what I mean? So go ahead.
I think all of my top 5 are pretty well liked, except one is like 50-50 on people. 50% of people either hate it or 50% of people either love it. We'll get to that. Number 5, I'd say Child's Play, the original Child's Play from '88, I believe. Just love it. I mean, it's to me, it should have been a one-off Child's Play. But I'm okay with the sequel too. The first sequel. Every other one, I can't do.
Did you like the remake in 2019?
I haven't seen it actually, but apparently it's not really a remake. It's like a totally different story from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Reimagining. That's what they call them these days. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a remake, but it's got the same title. Anyways, number 4. This is the one that's 50-50 on people, I think, and that's the Blair Witch Project. I love the Blair Witch Project.
He loves it too.
Some people freaking hate that movie, and I personally don't get why they hate it, but they do.
I don't like found footage films.
Oh, okay. I typically don't like found footage films, but the reason why the Blair Witch Project gets me so easily is the acting. Everybody in that movie feels like a real person. So like as an all-round acting movie, like everybody feels like they're real. The performances all feel genuine, and that's why it gets me. You actually feel as terrified as these people, and it's actually happening. Kind of like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre does as well, because you feel like it's actually happening to a point.
I agree. Like Blair Witch Project, and I've talked to one of our other buddies about it. He doesn't like horror films, but he's like, I can't watch that film. He's like, I just can't. It's
That's okay. The shaky cam thing doesn't bother me. I know that bothers a lot of people. I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I will say that this also about the Blair Witch Project. The house at the end of the Blair Witch Project was my biggest inspiration for the house that we have in our film, in the Sawyer Massacre. We're actually actively seeking a house that looks as similar as possible in Texas. And that's actually becoming my biggest task, because I want something, quite similar to that in its look, at least from the outside, in its look.
Right.
Because it's just such a creepy vibe to it. Imagine Leatherface in a house like that. To me, it's creepy as hell.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that's my number 4. Number 3 would be Halloween. The original John Carpenter Halloween. Not a Rob Zombie fan, guys. I don't know.
Understand.
Halloween is
I
my
gave it
favorite
a chance.
movie, my favorite horror movie of all time.
Oh,
I
is
watched,
it? There you go.
I watched it when I was 6 and fell in love with horror ever since.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Number 2 would be Black Christmas. Bob Clark's Black Christmas from '74. Canadian movie, so I gotta support the Canadian movies.
There you go.
There you go.
And then the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974 as well. So there you go. I love 1974 as a year in horror.
Black Christmas also in there.
That's a great year for horror, apparently. So, well,
For me, it
that's
was
awesome.
anyway.
Yeah, exactly, and that's awesome. I want to reiterate how awesome it is that you get to make a prequel fan film for your favorite horror movie. Like that has to be a dream come true.
yeah.
So
It is, yeah, it really is. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. And I hate to say it, to rag on the remake again. I guess it has a lot to do with what I didn't like about the remake. You know, what I think they could have done. You know, to up it a little bit, up the disturbing level. I wasn't getting the disturbing level that I felt like I was going to get, especially at the beginning of the movie. The beginning of the movie made me feel like it was going to be super disturbing, with all that police footage and everything that they showed. And John Larroquette's narration again was perfect. His narration was just awesome at the beginning of that film.
Mhm.
So I was like gearing myself for the most disturbing thing I'm ever going to see, and ultimately the movie was, to me, it was. You know,
Understand completely. So, before we let you go, everything we wanted to give you an opportunity real quick, just one last pitch on your film, things you're excited about it, and just promote yourself and your Indiegogo, man. Just floor is yours again before we wrap this up.
cool. Well, the Sawyer Massacre Indiegogo campaign is going to be dropping March 1st of this year. It'll go to the end of April. If you want to see a very disturbing, gritty Texas Chainsaw Massacre film without really going too much into origins and all that kind of stuff, then this is the film for you. I definitely feel it's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film that hasn't been made. This hasn't been made. We haven't been getting this, and especially with the most recent ones, shooting in Bulgaria and everything, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Man. Well, we appreciate you coming on to the show.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, if you ever need us for anything, feel free to hit us up.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, man. So we're excited for this film. We'll probably donate to your Indiegogo. So
Definitely.
Awesome.
keep up the good work, man, and I hope
I
you have
appreciate the support.
great rest of your night.
Yeah, man.
You
Appreciate
too, guys.
So
Thanks for
Have a
having me
good
on,
one.
guys.
I appreciate
right.
it.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
You too.
Thank you for coming into our show, listening, and then like always, we love all of you.
Yep. Steve is the man. So I
Great
hope y'all
guy.
enjoyed that.
Yeah, man. So, but we do have to cut this off. I have to piss really bad.
He
So,
always does.
I
Pillow
will-
thriller.
talk to you guys later.